The Forbidden City is huge, like 72 hectares, 170 acres, 9,317 rooms. So let me walk you through on this map first. Over here. So do you know where we are now? Yeah, we just came through this gate. This gate is called Meridian Gate. The emperor thought that his residence was built along this meridian line, and the gate stands at the southern part of this meridian line should be called the Meridian Gate. And the gate we just came through, the gate in the middle, that is the gate reserved for the emperor only. Back in the days, nobody allowed to walk through the middle entrance, only for the emperor. But empress had one chance to walk through the central entrance when they married with the emperor. And also the scholars from the highest examination, it's called Imperial examination. From that test, they would have one chance to walk through the middle entrance. That's only two types. The other people had a chance to walk through the main central entrance. Nobody else. Most important buildings are built along the central axis. So this is our major traveling route to see the most important buildings built along the central axis. Okay? And the Forbidden City is also divided into two parts. The outer court in this area. Outer court refers to those three major palaces over here, and the inner court. The outer court was the places where for the emperors to celebrate their birthdays, the winter solstice, the Chinese New Year, but they do not come here very often, only 3 or 4 times a year. They spend most of their time in the inner court to stay with their families, the emperors, their concubines. There are thousands of pretty ladies in that area, in the inner court. Outer court and the inner court. But most of the buildings built along the central axis still remain closed to the public. We cannot walk into the palace. What we can do is stand far away from the palace. We can see nothing inside. That is why our tour will be started from the furniture hall over here. Furniture hall, standing right over there. 300 beautiful furniture displayed in that furniture hall. We can give them a closer look of those beautiful furniture displayed, very similar to those furniture displayed in this palace. Okay, so that's why we are going to start it with the furniture hall. The construction of the Forbidden City started from the third emperor, Zhu Di. 24 emperors lived here for 500 years. And Ming and Qing are the two latest dynasties in China's history. Have you heard of the other dynasties in China? China has many different dynasties. Started from Qin, spells like Qin, Qin dynasty, and it goes back to 2,200 years ago. Qin, 200 years ago. Qin, Han, Jin, Sui, Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, Qing. Ming and Qing are the two latest dynasties. Pretty much all those emperors, they lived in the Forbidden City for 500 years. But the construction of the Forbidden City started in 1406, which took 14 years and completed in 1420. So can you figure out the actual age of the Forbidden City? Completed in 1420? Now it's
604?
Yeah, 604 years. That's the age of the Forbidden City. So 500 years used as the living residence for those emperors. Another 100 years, because the last emperor, Puyi, he was kicked out of here, out of the Forbidden City in 1924. And the next year, in 1925, the whole complex opened to the public as a palace museum. So next year is going to be the 100th anniversary of the foundation of the palace museum. So 500 years used as the living residence for those emperors, and another 100 years used as the palace museum and open to the public. Okay? So started...
Is it the end of the dynasty then? What is the end of the dynasty?
Yeah, that's the end of the dynasty. That's the end of the dynasty. 1911, that's the end of the dynasty in this country. No more dynasties existed after that. Okay, these two emperors, they lived in Nanjing. the former capital city of the Ming Dynasty. And started from the third emperor Zhu Di in the Ming Dynasty. He moved the capital from Nanjing to Beijing, from south to north, and he established the Forbidden City. So from this emperor, 14 Ming emperors, they lived in the Forbidden City, together with the 10 Qing emperors. So when he passed away, he passed his throne to his son, grandson, great-grandson. So they all come from one family. Until to this emperor, the last emperor in the Ming Dynasty, he eventually committed suicide by hanging himself on a tree in a park, with a park which is located right behind the Forbidden City. He committed suicide at the age of only 34 because those enemies were attacking the Forbidden City. He felt so helpless. So when he went up to that tree and committed suicide, that's the end of the Ming Dynasty. So there were many wars, a lot of killings, a lot of fightings at the end of each dynasty. So there's no option, and there's no differences that what happened at the Ming Dynasty, at the end of the Ming Dynasty. And then his enemies, those people, they occupied the Forbidden City for 28 days. Later on, those Manchurian people, they come from northeastern part of the country. They come to Beijing and defeated those enemies. And then they took over the Forbidden City and occupied the whole country and started a new dynasty. That dynasty is called Qing Dynasty, Qing, the Qing Dynasty. The dynasty lasted for 267 years, many generations, until to this guy, the last emperor. He became the emperor at the age of only 3 years old. And when he turned to the age of 6 years old, the dynasty collapsed. The dynasty was over. The dynasty was overthrown by the Democratic Revolution led by Dr. Sun Yat-sen in 1911. So that's the end of the dynasty. But he still lived in the inner court until 1924, and then he was kicked out of the Forbidden City. So that's a story about of the different dynasties and the emperors. Any questions?
What happened with him, the child?
He was, at the age of 3, he was selected as the emperor of the country by the Dragon Lady. We are going to visit that lady's residence, that lady's palace. The most powerful lady at the end of the Qing Dynasty. She ruled the country for 48 years. Because this emperor before him, he had no son. And so that lady, Dragon Lady, appointed him as the new emperor of the country at the age of only 3 years old. Okay? The last 3 emperors, those 3 emperors, none of them has a child. Not mentioning the son. So he was designated by the Dragon Lady to be the new emperor of the country at the age of 4. When he died, the Dragon Lady appointed him as the new emperor. This is the son. This emperor was the son of the Dragon Lady, or that lady. He was the son, but he died at the age of 19 years old, very young age. Okay, so that's the introduction about this, the Forbidden City and those the emperors. Any questions? No? So this is a river down here. This is called the Inner Golden River, coming from northwestern part of the Forbidden City and running through the Forbidden City. Used as a decoration of the Forbidden City. This is the river, serving the purpose of okay, and also part of the drainage system. When it rains in the Forbidden City, the drain water, the river in the Golden River will be carrying the rainwater out of the Forbidden City to protect the Forbidden City from being flooded, and also the place where people can retrieve the water from, even there any fire emergencies took place in the Forbidden City. Okay.